Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go.
And good week to you, everyone. Holiday week, July 4th, 2024. Hope it's been a good one for you. I'm Rich Mancuso. Happy 4th. Good day to you. Good night. This is Keep It in the Ring with Rich Mancuso, as always, live and to tape on my YouTube channel, Rich Mancuso. Also at Jaronis United, Stream Punk Entertainment. Like, comment, and subscribe, as always. Would appreciate that. And my social media handles, as always, at the bottom, scroll, Ring786X, formerly Twitter, and Facebook.com, Rich Mancuso, where you can leave your comments and get in touch, and I surely will get back to you. My producer and great coordinator of all this, Scott Churston, he'll join us later. I'll have the fact of the week, as always. Going to be a quick half hour this week, a holiday special of Keep It in the Ring, your home for combat sports, the boxing, the MMA a little bit, and of course the pro wrestling. And there's plenty of that coming up starting tonight, a Friday night, and into the weekend with WWE. And as always, the fight calendar scrolled at the bottom. We are in the boxing season still. It's going to slow down a bit because it is the summer and boxing takes a little hiatus, but not much. The major fights will pick up again in September. Well, let's get to it, fans, as we keep it in the ring. And thank you once again for joining me as we go through it right now. And of course, this weekend, the highlight fight will be Saturday night on ESPN and their platforms with Top Rank. And it's going to be at the Prudential Center in Newark, New Jersey for Top Rank. And this guy, Teofimo Lopez, is this going to be his last fight under the Top Rank banner? This is his last fight under his contract. A lot of speculation. Will he remain with Top Rank or become one of those high-profile free agents in the sport? And maybe Eddie Hearn, who's making a pitch with Matchroom, could get him. My feeling is Shakur Stevenson here, who is the WBC lightweight title holder that he'll defend on Saturday night at the Prudential Center in Newark, New Jersey. My feeling is Shakur Stevenson, a homegrown product of Top Rank, will remain there. And as they continue to get him up the ladder in boxing as one of the top 10 fighters, pound per pound. Many question if Shakur is a top 10 pound per pound. I believe he is. And let's look at him right now. Let's analyze a little bit. Undefeated, 21-0, 10 knockouts. The WBC lightweight title holder among the alphabet soup, and in a division that is still highly competitive, like 140 junior welterweight, where he might eventually go. His opponent is our team, who's also a 33-year-old out of Germany, but an Olympic bronze medalist, and this is his third shot at a title. We'll see where it goes. There is a lot of respect with these two. Shakur Stevenson at the press conference the other day before the fight Saturday night was trying to lead him on a little bit, but Armin wouldn't go for it. Our team is just a gentleman and very respectful that he's been given this opportunity to fight one of the best and to get a part of that 135-pound lightweight title in a highly competitive division. So, what about Shakur Stevenson? Where does he go? How does he perform Saturday night on ESPN with Top Rank? Well, this is his, he's coming off a unanimous decision in November and against Edwin de Los Santos. And if you remember, that was not one of the memorable fights in boxing and not one of the memorable fights for Shakur Stevenson in his career. That was for the vacant title. He led in that fight, if you remember, a very dull, lackluster, boring fight because Shakur landed only 63 of his total punches, 19 power punches. And this was not Shakur Stevenson. He's a much better fighter, but there's been a lot of talk that Shakur Stevenson might not even stay at 135, and that Shakur Stevenson would not get into the ranks of Manny Pacquiao, Mickey Garcia, or Jorge Linares, Lomachenko, and Juan Manuel Marquez as the youngest to win featherweight, junior lightweight, and lightweight titles. And based on that last fight in November, you had to pose the questions. Is Shakur Stevenson that good, or is he that bad? So the questions have to be answered now, Saturday night, against a man that we know who's been there for the titles before, a 33-year-old, our team. The questions will be, could Shakur Stevenson rebound and have a better fight as he defends his title? I believe he will. I don't believe this fight will go the distance. I believe Shakur Stevenson is going to make his statement Saturday night, retain his title, and then options remaining. Where does he go? Does he stay with Top Rank? Does he go elsewhere? And does he stay at 135, where I believe he's very comfortable? Now, question. Who would be next, assuming he surpasses our team on Saturday night? Well, there's always Gervonta Davis and talk of Shakur Stevenson, Gervonta Davis, which would be a mega fight for the sport and in the division. And before we get to, let's take a look at Gervonta Davis, because he is the marketable fighter as the champion also at 135, at 140 right now. Gervonta Davis pay-per-view numbers, though, show that he might be losing some of that steam and popularity. This came through. I saw this, thought I put this up. It's a good note to look at. His pay-per-view numbers, which I've always been saying have been very, very strong and make him one of the marketable fighters in the sport that promoters want because that makes money. But Gervonta Davis's pay-per-view numbers since that fight with Ryan Garcia that amassed about 1.2 million. His last fight against Frank Martin, 325,000 pay-per-view buys, which is marginal, very marginal. You have to question how the pay-per-view industry in boxing is going, where it's going, and also question, is Gervonta Davis this type of marketable champion that can amass big numbers? Then again, fighting Frank Martin wasn't going to compile big numbers, and fight with Ryan Garcia, though, would bring in big numbers. So we'll see what happens next with Shakur Stevenson, and if he can fight Gervonta Davis. That is a fight. They talk about it. I think it would be a great fight for both, a great fight for the sport. It all depends, though, on where Gervonta Davis, where he wants to go next, and most of all, where Shakur Stevenson wants to go next after Saturday night. Thought that was interesting, though, the pay-per-view numbers of late for Gervonta Davis. Let's talk about another guy at 140 who's looking to go to 147, Devin Haney. He's making his cause off the now win over Ryan Garcia that was nullified because of the suspension, of course. And Devin Haney is looking to face Terrence Crawford at 147. He says his style and skills will dominate Terrence Crawford, who fights again August 3rd as the Riyadh season and the kings and princes of Saudi Arabia come to the States for the first time to promote. And Terrence Crawford is one of the main events on that August 3rd card. That's his next fight, Terrence Crawford. And then Devin Haney has got his eyes on 147. My friends, fighters can move up in weight and do well. And we've seen that so many times. And we've seen that with Manny Pacquiao. He had no problem doing that as the first and only 8-division champion in the sport. Devin Haney, well, a lot of people saying that he's diminished and that the Ryan Garcia supposed loss was what you might be seeing down the line if he stays at 140. And what is, as I always say, and you are aware, the competitive division in the sport with some big names and great fighters. And Devin Haney, despite it all, is still one of them. But to go to 147 and fight Terrence Crawford, even though he comes in the ring, rehydrates, and he's over 140, he might be 154. Can Devin Haney handle that weight? If he would fight Terrence Crawford, to many, the top pound-for-pound fighter in the sport, if not next to Canelo Alvarez, would be interesting, very perplexing, and would it ever happen? Well, we'll have to see where Devin Haney's next move is. What do you think? Like, comment, and subscribe on my channel at YouTube, Rich Mancuso, Jabronis United also, and Screen Punk Entertainment. I'm interested to see what your take is about Devin Haney's next move here at Keep It in the Ring. All right, we have to talk about him again because he's in the news almost every day on social media. But here's the latest about Ryan Garcia. As it came out on Independence Day, July 4th. First, take a look. Ryan Garcia's tweets continue. Disturbing again. He's got a new girlfriend. He's been advertising that all over the place. He says he doesn't have a drinking issue. And yet his dad is telling him that he needs to get help. The reality is there that Ryan Garcia needs help, as I keep advocating, as I keep saying, as many others do. And then on Independence Day, July 4th, WBC President Jose Sulaiman Jr. comes out and says that Ryan Garcia is banned from the WBC as far as activity, meaning that he wouldn't be fighting for any title in the WBC. He won't be rated in the WBC rankings. He's not to do any activities mentioning the WBC World Boxing Council name, which to me still is the reputed alphabet soup organization in the sport. Ryan Garcia has been banned because of racial slurs he sent on social media against black people and his disparaging remarks about Muslims. And he did that on social media to the point that it got a lot of bad vibes. It got a lot of negativity. And Ryan Garcia, in the process, made more enemies. And as a result, WBC and has decided that's it. No Ryan Garcia. We don't want this around. It goes against their standards. It goes against a lot of people's standards. Because Ryan Garcia is mentally ill and refuses to get the help. He does need it. I tell you every week. Now the WBC has made their move. Let's see where this goes. And Ryan Garcia's defense said he was trolling with those remarks. Trolling what? He's mentally disturbed, my friends. He needs help. And now, besides a suspension for a year imposed by the New York State Athletic Commission and a heavy fine because of steroid use with his fight against Devin Haney, now he's been banned from the WBC. And he has more issues, and there'll probably even be more because he continues daily, day and night, to become this social media phenom that he wants to be, that he continues to be, but doesn't realize how he's insulting people, doesn't realize how he is hurting the sport of boxing with his name, doesn't realize most of all, and this being Ryan Garcia, my friends, Ryan Garcia needs help. He needs to realize, and I'll say it, and I'll say it all the time. I'm going to stop eventually because it's annoying me now. He needs to realize, and he has come out and said that he has a mental illness issue. Then go for the help. Get the help, Ryan. You're still a talented 25-year-old that can rebound and become a champion that you have never been, to start a legacy that you want. But now your hurdle gets tougher. Suspension and banned by the WBC for now. This is not boxing. This is not the way a young superstar should be behaving. Ryan Garcia needs help. This guy doesn't need help, though. If you saw over the last weekend, Jesse Bam Bam Rodriguez. Take a look at this. This is possibly a top pound per pound, top 3, top 5 fighter in the world. In Phoenix, a thriller against Juan Francisco Estrada on the zone. The 7th round KO. In turn, becomes a WBC super flyweight champion. Estrada floored Bam Bam. Estrada dropped Bam Bam in round 6 with the right hand. Estrada, prior to the KO, though, and he got the knockout, and this was a thriller if you watched it. Prior to the knockout, was ahead, Estrada, on one round by one of those judges, one of the 3 blind mice, and that is impossible to comprehend. Really hard to understand that. In the meantime, Jesse Bam Bam Rodriguez is on his way to more. Take a look at the punch stats. If we get the punch stats, there we go. Total punches landed. Estrada 26%, and the 31% there from Bam Bam. Bam Bam said unification is something he wants. But Estrada has revoked his rematch clause, and they'll probably do it again in the fall on the zone with Matchroom. And you know what? I want to see that fight again, assuming both of them don't decide before rematch clause or not, one of them to move up weight or something like that. But Bam Bam, I think, is going to stay where he's at and would love to do the rematch. These are the divisions in boxing, as you know, that provide the excitement. These guys don't make the money as the other divisions, like in 140, 147, 154, 168, whatever. But they're getting there, and they're getting there because they provide great fights. And these two put on a classic. Maybe this was the fight of the year as we reach past the midpoint of the year, in the year and then on the boxing calendar. You like what they did. You like the punches. You like the knockdowns. That's what fight fans like. And these two provided everything that was anticipated. They had the fans on their feet. They had us on our feet watching it on the zone. So, rematch, yes, definitely. I want to see that. And then Teofimo Lopez. We're talking about 140, and we're talking about Teofimo Lopez wants to take over. He did it at 135 and unified those titles before letting that go and moving up in weight. Obviously, though, Teofimo Lopez, not with the same power that he had at 135 as lightweight. Here he is against Steve Claggett. It's not the same Teofimo Lopez, despite what he says, at 140. You know, he's only had one KO. He's struggling. He's struggling at this weight, though he says he's comfortable at this weight. The 12-round unanimous decision. You know, Teofimo got the decision because he landed the sharper punches, according to the judges, too. 120, 108 two times, 119, 109. And you look at Teofimo Lopez and you say right now, is he comfortable at this weight at 140? He's only had 5 fights at 140, and he's only had 1 knockout since he went up to 140 in junior welterweight. Just doesn't look like the same fighter he was at 135. And I'm on social media talking to fight people. They all said the same thing that I said, and we've been saying that. The punches might look sharp, but the power's not the same. He can't seem to finish off an opponent. Steve Claggett, it can go in there and give you a fight, and he did, and he stepped up to this. He gave Teofimo a fight, so there's no doubt and there's no question that Teofimo can't say that Claggett didn't let him fight, didn't want to. No, he was in there for a minute, and I tell you the truth, I didn't expect the fight to go the distance it did. The question is, again, is Teofimo Lopez good at 140, and can he do the takeover at 140? There are a lot of hurdles to climb to do that, and you got to look at who's next for him. Could it be Devin Haney, who says he's not ready for another whenever after the whole Ryan Garcia fiasco? Maybe Isaac Pitbull Cruz, the WBA champ at 140. That would be a good one for Teofimo. Or possibly Gervonta Davis, which they talk about all the time. And it depends on what Gervonta wants to do. Either way, 140 still is the best division in the sport, without a doubt. You got the big names, you got the good fighters, and I just mentioned and rolled off a few of those names. And Teofimo Lopez has a lot of options who he could want next. Not a guy like Steve Clackett. He wants to unify and take over 140, so he's got to put his eye on the other champions among the alphabet soup groups. Teofimo has one piece of that. Devin Haney still has one piece of it, and Isaac Pitbull Cruz, WBA, who walked off Raleigh Romero, and he's tough, small guy and tough at 140. So let's see where Teofimo Lopez goes as he takes a break. He says he's going to fight again one more time this year, and it's going to be interesting to see where this goes and how much Teofimo Lopez has in this division to take over. It was announced officially this week, Regis Prograis against Jake Cottrell, August 24th on the Zone from the UK. And oops, I apologize last week about Regis Prograis' last fight, which was dull and where he got dominated. He didn't lose to Gervonta Davis. Many made that correction to me, and I realized that after the broadcast. And that's me, getting old, rich man Clouseau, though I'll correct myself when I'm wrong. Devin Haney is the guy that dominated Regis Prograis. Prograis says on August 24th that he's going, he was very quiet at the press conference with Cottrell. Didn't say much. He was very calm, cool, and collective, as I say, because he's ready. He says he's ready to rebound and at 140 or whatever it be, to come back and be a part of that title mix. And I still think he's got it. But he's got a tough one in Jack Cottrell. And it's going to be in the UK Matchroom at his own on the Zone. Look forward to that. That's on the calendar, August 24th. So you will get those fights coming up in the summer. Not one after another, but they'll be there before we get into the fall in September when Canelo Alvarez comes back. And that's probably going to be Alvarez and Edgar Berlanger. And it looks like September 24th in Las Vegas. Berlanger is a mandatory, supposedly, to his WBA portion of those titles at 168. Moving on to the UFC. The highlight, T-Mobile Arena over the weekend. Is he the all-time best now? Alex Pereira. Wow. Let's take a look at that kick heard around the world. The third round KO over Prochazka. The kick was devastating with the foot, and everyone's talking about it. He is a two-time champ now. Will he move to heavyweight? And that would be the first time in the UFC someone becomes a three-time champ like that. Moving to heavyweight for this guy, that kick was the kick heard around the world. The Brazilians got power, not only all over, but with that foot, and he used that early to get the win. So congrats to Alex Pereira, who's on his way maybe to being the all-time best fighter in the UFC and the MMA. More MMA next week, my friends. Let's get right now to the fact of the week. This quick half hour of Keep It in the Ring continues. And let me bring in, I don't have a guest this week. Excuse me, maybe next week we'll have somebody lined up because there's a big card of boxing next week, and I'm going to have maybe Peter Dobson on here with us, fighting for Matchroom Boxing, and that big card, the homecoming for Gerard Boudinnis in Philadelphia next Saturday night on the Zone. So Scott Churston, my great producer, you're going to get the fact of the week. Come on in, my friend.
There we go.
I know you love when I do this, and everyone does.
I love the fact. I don't like something you put on the spot, though. That's where the challenge comes in.
Well, that's the whole idea of fact of the week, my friend. You know? All right. Let's
That's why I'm also not on camera right now.
Well, I know. Well, I don't want to be either, but that's part of being in broadcasting. You got to do both, especially on YouTube. All right. Awesome. Scott, anything come up you want to promo before we get to the fact?
Well, I was going to say, what do we got coming up? We have ACW Pandemonium coming up October 12th. That's going to be bigger and better and more badass than basically the last one was with Jason Knight, Mikey Whipwreck, Gary Wolf, and the rest. On this side of the fence, also, we're going to basically got a few guests coming up on Tales from the Film Set and Street Punk Cinema. Probably also going to have a few people on the soccer side coming in, sports writers, a couple athletes. We're working on some stuff on that side. So if it's Stream Punk, it's basically us.
All right. And of course, I'm there with you, Rich Mancuso, with Keep It in the Ring. Right?
Yes,
and of
sir.
course, the fact of the week is going to be a wrestling fact with Money in the Bank coming up Saturday from Toronto with WWE. And it's about the briefcase, Money in the Bank. Listen carefully, because that briefcase changed hands 3 times without being cashed in. The whole concept of this. And we'll talk more about Money in the Bank when we come out of break on that next and last segment. So Scott, is 3 times the briefcase was won and never cashed in. And the fact is, who are the 3? It might be tough for you to get this. The 3 guys, the 3 wrestlers that did that, won it and never cashed it in.
Yeah, see, the wrestling isn't my strong suit. That would be more of a Kyle or Ryan thing.
Yeah, well, then Kyle and Ryan not here, so it's you.
You're throwing it on me. No, you got me.
Well, why don't I just get it over? Because you're not going to get this.
Yeah.
I get these.
Put me out of my misery here.
I get these facts, and I would never get them either. And I'm in front of me, a lot of them. Well, here's one. You wrestling fans, pay attention. Mr. Kennedy, remember him? He lost to Edge in 2007. Otis lost to Miz in 2020. Mm-hmm. So you got Mr. Kennedy, Otis, and James Ellsworth. He's another one. And he lost to, James Ellsworth was the other one. And it led to a rematch in 2017. So the 3 guys that were got the Money in the Bank briefcase, which I think is a great thing. I like this premium event that they do. Oh, it used to be called pay-per-views, WWE. And they never cashed them in. For one reason or another. Maybe they weren't with the promotion no more, or they went on another direction. Mr. Kennedy was a character. Otis and James Ellsworth. Whatever. That's your fact of the week. We close it up. Thanks, Scott. Next week, maybe.
My privilege.
No, that was a tough one. Gotcha, my friend. All right, quick timeout. Then we come back on this quick half hour or so of Keep It in the Ring this week. I'm Rich Mancuso. My social media, X, formerly Twitter, Ring786, Facebook.com, Rich Mancuso. Among the outlets I write for, Latino Sports, String Punk Media, and, of course, NewYorkSportsA.com. And stay with us. We'll be right back. I'm going to come back, and we're going to go into the pro wrestling stuff. And we got a lot of that with Money in the Bank coming up this weekend and nostalgia to end it all. I'm Rich Mancuso. Keep It in the Ring. Back in a moment.
Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man. Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go.
All right, great that we see Pandemonium coming up on October 12th that I'll be a part of with Jason Knight's ACW. Looking forward to that. More on that in the weeks and months to come before October 12th. Welcome back, my friends. Keep It in the Ring this quick half hour, and that's what we're doing this week. Back with an hour more next week. Thanks for being with me. Like, comment, and subscribe on my YouTube channel, Rich Mancuso, Jabronis United, and, of course, Stream Punk Entertainment. And, like it, comment. I want to hear from you, and subscribe. And hope you're enjoying your holiday weekend and the summer ahead. And it's moving. It is moving. All right, let's get to the pro wrestling news. A lot of that. Let's look first at this guy, Paul Heyman. Wow, was he in character? And if you saw that on SmackDown and how this part of the bloodline and Sikoa, who now says he is the tribal chief leading to Roman Reigns, and the rival will start soon, and it will be a good one. But Paul Heyman's character here never did this before. He's now turned to be babyface, and he showed by not sleeping and not doing whatever he had to do how anguished he was about what's been going on without his tribal chief, Roman Reigns. This was great storytelling. This was great theater, and did not expect Paul Heyman. I thought they'd turn on him, but not the way they did. That half of the bloodline with all the brothers and the family of Roman Reigns. How he got slammed into the announce table. He stretched it out, and we won't see him on television until Roman Reigns probably comes back. But it developed more of the storyline that will continue at Money in the Bank Saturday, Toronto, on Peacock. Paul Heyman didn't shave, didn't sleep, and he showed it. And it was great. And that's Paul Heyman for you. He is a creator. His idea with the bloodline and that storyline continues. And his idea was to do this, and it was spectacular with the creative team. That's why he's a Hall of Famer. There's no doubt about it. So that bloodline angle will continue, and it will continue at Money in the Bank. And we're going to see where this goes. And there were a lot of rumors about Money in the Bank on Saturday night up in Toronto. A lot of rumors that this could be the return of Roman Reigns. I don't think that's happening that soon. But there were rumors also there'll be another member or two of that family. You know, a family, that's huge. And you might see a couple more of them that adds to the feud with Kevin Owens there and Randy Orton, and Cody Rhodes is probably going to get Sikoa at SummerSlam for the title. It's very interesting to see where Cody Rhodes goes in all this now, because there's talk about him turning heel. And when Roman Reigns comes back, could Roman Reigns and Cody be a part of the new bloodline? And Cody and Roman settle their differences and join forces to defeat this other part of the bloodline. So Money in the Bank should be interesting, including who's going to get the straps, who's going to climb the ladder. That's always interesting. A lot of speculation, a lot of great theatrics with the Money in the Bank. I believe in the women's side it'll be Tiffany Stratton. She's been getting the big push. And on the men's side, I think it's going to be Drew McIntyre who's going to try and get the title again. But will it be with CM Punk somewhere in town? So McIntyre may not get a shot at that title, and that's going to be up in the air. And get a part of the get on the ladder. CM Punk comes out, interferes, because they're leading to Punk McIntyre at some point. Excuse me, folks. And then there is the match with Seth Rollins and Damian Priest for the World Heavyweight title. And what happens here? And Seth Rollins looking to get the title back. Damian Priest, he's making it known he wants no one from his faction to interfere. And he wants to do this himself. So, does Seth Rollins regain the world title, or does Damian Priest? I think Priest retains. Though there's going to be interference with Finn Balor again, or Dom Mysterio, or someone. And what happens is that Priest leaves his faction, and it becomes the turn for Damian Priest, with Rhea Ripley waiting to return in a month or two or so, maybe whatever it be. So I look at it, Money in the Bank, to be a good premium event on Peacock Saturday night. Interesting storylines, and leading to SummerSlam in Cleveland and setting up after that the fall and into WrestleMania next year. Cody Rhodes is someone to look at. Someone to pay attention to here is also Drew McIntyre and Damian Priest and, of course, the Bloodline. Where do they go with all this? And when does Paul Heyman return? WWE is at the top of their game. Continues to be, because this new endeavor and TKO venture with the UFC as well. And what's happening is that Triple H is in total control. He's a creative genius, and he's got a lot of influence too with Paul Heyman, who's one of the best in storyline telling in pro wrestling. All right. And AEW, despite it all, with declining attendance and their numbers are abysmal on TNT and TBS with their platforms of Collision and Dynamite and Rampage, but pretty good pay-per-view that they had on Sunday, and that was Forbidden Door in New York, and interesting and a good match. You saw Swerve and Will Ospreay, and Will Ospreay now is leaving the Don Callis family. He's made it known, and Will Ospreay is not playing the heel role. He doesn't want to be that type of guy, and Swerve and him put on a classic match. Highlight. Because Swerve retained the title, as AEW looks to put him in the direction of keeping that title. And then you saw the return again of MJF. And even on Dynamite Wednesday night, MJF returned to being a full-fledged heel. That was MJF. Still getting cheers as well. And all of this is setting up the big pay-per-view coming up at Wembley in August again, where Tony Khan says All In is going to have over 80,000 fans again, and it will be. They're there already, so he says. And big pay-per-view, All In on the AEW calendar. And this guy, Will Ospreay, in the UK, just might get the title then. I think they'll rematch him and Swerve. They put on a classic, and if Ospreay, who's now got two titles in AEW, if he's going to become the world heavyweight title holder in AEW, well, he's either going to get the title from Swerve there with all. This is just my thought and speculation. And MJF is going to eventually get that title because he's always been the face of their company. So well done for AEW at Forbidden Door as they get ready for All In. And, of course, Dr. Britt Baker is back, my favorite. And she's going to be rivaling Mercedes Moné, one of my other favorites. She made her return, as you know, and I think that feud is going to escalate into something big in the women's division at AEW. Nostalgia time to wrap it up this week on Keep It in the Ring, and a good one. Let's take a look. We're really going back here. And it's July 4th, 1910. Yes, way back in boxing history, Jack Johnson stopped James Jeffries in the 15th round. Now, look at this. If you go back in boxing history in 1910, and believe it or not, this fight went 15 rounds, but this fight was scheduled for 45 rounds? My goodness, that's what they did in the the Queensberry rules and all that stuff, and that's how boxing was back then. Can you imagine guys going 45 rounds today? That would never happen, but they would do that. They'd schedule 45-round fights. And the great Jack Johnson got the win, heavyweight championship, over 20,000 fans. This was in Reno, Nevada, too, before the casinos and stuff. This was known as the fight of the century back then. And it moved to Reno from San Francisco because the California governor at the time pressured to stop the fight, did not want this fight to happen in San Francisco because of morale and religious purposes. They had racial tones in this fight were going on even back then. But the 32-year-old Jack Johnson, the first black world champion in the sport, and he defeated Jeffries, who was white. and that's why they didn't want to do this fight in San Francisco. The pressure was on. They moved it to Reno. And so Jack Johnson, who became the world champion, was, this is a big part of boxing history. And it happened July 4th, 1910. Get a look at it. Go if you want. Get some history. Look at some of the images, and there is some footage on this fight. Because Jeffries and Johnson was boxing history back there in 1910. 15 rounds scheduled for 45 as well. Nostalgia this week here at Keep It in the Ring. Hope you enjoyed that. I do it every week. We'll have more next week. I love doing that because it's a part of wrestling, it's a part of history, boxing history, along with the wrestling history and, of course, MMA, UFC, which is relatively new the last decade or more. All right. That puts a wrap on Keep It in the Ring this week. Hope you enjoyed this fast-paced half hour, a little more. Next week, back to the hour. Thank you, Chad Churchton, for putting this together on the holiday weekend. Thank you for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe to my YouTube channel, Rich Mancuso, Jabronis United as well. And, of course, we're on Facebook as well. Like, comment, subscribe my Facebook page, Keep It in the Ring, and Streampunk Entertainment. Ring 786, formerly X, Twitter. Where you get me, Facebook.com, Rich Mancuso. Enjoy the fights this weekend. There aren't many, but we'll have more the week after. And we get the summer going and get into the fall. As always, fans, thanks for being a part of this. Thank you for being a supporter and help and watching this every week. I do it for you. I enjoy doing it and will continue to be as long as I can keep doing it. And to Scott Churston, of course, with Stream Puck at the Table Jabronis United, I don't know what to say. He just does a great job. He's my guy, as always, putting this all together. Stay in touch, folks. Till next week, stay well, be healthy, be good to each other. And as always, I'm Rich Mancuso. Keep it in the ring. Thank you.
Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go.